are live.
Hello, everybody. Oh, what does that say? What does that say?
Oops.
Wine, please. Wine, please. Well, time to wind down and cheers. Gina, you have actual wine.
I do, and mainly because I thought it was kind of weak that I just needed the bottle instead of a glass.
Okay.
And really, I just thought this was such a cool. I'm all about the labels.
Yeah.
And this bottle is called Throwback Thursday. And it has a little hashtag with the Throwback Thursday, and it has an old picture. I thought it was really cute. Do you buy wine a lot of times based on the labels?
I certainly, I think the label makes it jump off the shelf.
Right.
And then I'll look at it. Certainly 19 Crimes the first time I bought it. But if 19 Crimes had been $80 or if 19 Crimes had been $2, it would probably still be on the shelf.
Interesting.
It was a type of wine that I liked, and it was within a price range that I think, okay, that's, probably drinkable. So, right. But yeah, if you can't get noticed, you can't get heard. If you can't get heard, you can't get the job done. So certainly those labels got your attention. Now, did you buy that bottle because of the label?
I did. I buy most wines because of the labels.
Okay.
So, and if it was $2, I would have bought a case. So,
even though it might not have been drinkable.
And then it may not have been drinkable, but it would have been a really cute bottle. No, and I think the thing is I usually will buy them because of the label. And then if I like it, then I would go back and, then to buy more. Then I take a picture of it and put it in my wine app so that I can keep the ones that I like. But yeah, so.
You have a wine app?
Oh my God. Toni, you know me. I have an app for everything. There's an app.
Wine lover extraordinaire, have a wine app.
And it's great. It's a wine vault. And so you can keep all your favorites. When I go to a restaurant and I have a wine that I really like, I'll ask if I could take a picture of the label or if I can get the name, and I write it in my little wine vault app.
Well, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So, so happy wind down. And it's been a busy week. It's hard to believe that it's almost May. That next week is May already.
Yeah, and you have nothing going on in your life.
It's a little busy. But I always every time I say that,
and all kinds of things.
Yeah, we have a baby coming in 2 weeks. Not mine. Our sixth grandchild. And I know I can't either. And then our youngest Schrecklet Bailey is getting married in July. We have her graduation coming up in May from college, and all kinds of activities. So it's a fun and busy time, but all happy things. So, and you're getting ready to go on another fun art retreat, which I'm super excited to live through you as you go.
Yes, and I'm trying to figure out, I wish I could do the Be Live the week I'm away, but Be Live is right in the middle of the day, and I'm not going to walk out of a class. As much as I love my wind down folks, I'm not going to leave in the middle of a class. I said Be Live, but I meant wind down. But I think I might, inspired by you, try to do some Facebook Lives from the retreat. I'm very excited. I will miss you terribly because we have so much fun together.
I think it's right at the time. I think it's either, we have graduation. I think it's on that. Yeah, it's the graduation. We have the Thursday and Friday graduation ceremonies and
all that stuff. So, totally understandable.
Oh, Michelle said, I'm finally able to join. Yay!
Yay! Oh, Michelle, how good to see you. Michelle is so cool. You talk about being a going concern and just, Michelle's a going concern. She's always got something on the go.
On the go. Well, and if you guys are here tuning in live, be sure to shout out and say hi in the chat here. We want to give you a shout out. And today we have some, I think, juicy topics.
Yes.
And I think it's always fun to see the different sides that we come at different, the things from the week. So you had a really, an interesting, you said it was a video you watched that inspired you?
Yes. And I will post the link. I think it came in yesterday morning in my kind of morning digest that I get. And I don't even know why I clicked on it. I think the title was Starbucks CEO Life-Defining Moment or something. And I clicked on it. And basically what the video was about was the fact that he had spent all of his life totally dedicated to his career, working hard, doing all those things that we all do, but particularly in big corporate America, they have so many other responsibilities and things that consume their time. And he talked about a few years ago getting a diagnosis of melanoma. And, you know, I thought, oh, well, that's going to be the life-defining moment. But it wasn't. It was, and I don't know whether he said several months or a year or so later, when he was standing at the airport about to board a plane for somewhere quite far away. And to go on the trip, the business trip, he had to cancel some doctor's appointments. And he said that it was in the moment of canceling those doctor's appointments that he asked himself, what am I doing?
That's interesting.
Decided from that day on. Now, it's interesting in the video, it doesn't say whether he still went on the business trip. I'm going to assume that he did, but that he and his wife made a decision from that day on that they would not do anything that didn't bring joy and happiness in terms of their health, in terms of their family, and that those were going to be their priorities. And they didn't just say it, that he retired and they did they made many changes. He made changes both in his work ethic and in how he manages his personal life to accommodate those priorities. And it got me thinking. My dad died very young. He died when he was 65. He was in great shape. Had done all kinds of things when he went for his 60th checkup. And I have mine coming up. So it's kind of like a little deja vu. And when he went for his 60th checkup, the doctor said that for him to die before he was 92, he would have to get hit by a Mack truck. And he was gone by 65 because he got cancer. And I remember thinking, and Dad saved a lot of the things that he really wanted to do for later in his life. But by the time he got there, he was sick and didn't have a chance to do them. And I swore that I would never do that. And so I think that the video this morning really prompted me to check back in with my priorities. Jared and I have a huge priority of family first. I think we're good on that one. I think we really do put family first.
Right.
I don't know that we put us first. Or second, we put the family first, including the kids. Right. But I don't know if, because we work together, we put us first. And I watch all of my friends doing these incredible things and slowing down. And I've always said I don't want to retire. But I asked myself after watching this video, am I planning enough? Even if I'm not going to stop, am I planning enough to do those? Oh, I'm going to get all chucked up. You can take it from here.
Well,
I collect myself.
And I'm gonna give a shout out to Jill. Give a shout out to Jill, who said she's also in that club. And so, priorities kind of get really clear at that point. And shout out to Bob. Hey, Bob. Tuned in just a couple minutes late, but it's interesting because we've gone through a lot of trauma with our son being at Columbine during the shootings, and he almost died in a snowboarding accident a couple years later. And, it's sad that it takes those kind of things to get us to reprioritize. But Kirk and I have always been I have to give him the credit for, because he's just so good at these things, but always put our relationship over even our kids, because we know that at the end, like now, we're empty nesters. There's a lot of people who spend so much time focused on their jobs and their kids, and then they get to be our age and they go, who is this person that lives in the house? Yeah. And I certainly didn't want to leave the impression about we no. Of our relationship about everything as well. Right. I was referring more to the things
I find myself, in fact, I am sure we've said it, I have said it this week. You know, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that later. We're gonna do that later.
Right.
And you know, we got a great trip planned with the kids this summer, and Africa with the kids next summer. But I just, the video just reminded me that you know, you work really, really hard. I know I work really, really hard. Our spouses work really, really hard. And, you know, I don't want to leave that trip of a lifetime or experience of a lifetime for 3 or 4 years, because you never know.
Right. You never know. Which I think as an entrepreneur, I always think that is the beauty of what we do is we're always looking at, you know, and I'm always every year setting challenge goals for myself, personal and professional and business. But that does mean we have to work harder at those times when we're not doing those other things. I mean, I feel very fortunate that we can go. I mean, you know, we could go and do things. You can take time off in the summer, which I still haven't figured out how to do that. You know, and family, that's sanity first too. Yes. So yeah, and I think setting those things of saying it, because it makes me sad when people say I worked, and I set all those fun things to do later, and later I never got there.
Yeah, and I think there are two questions then that we all have to ask ourselves. And not that we haven't asked them before, but they could change, or maybe we just need a reminder. And I guess that question is, what matters to you most? You know, in this particular incident, in this case with the CEO of Starbucks, it was his health and taking care of his health. And I think as entrepreneurs, we can often ignore our health, long hours, lots of stress, particularly if we're having lots of stress, so that we can prepare to go away and do something. So I guess that question is, what matters most to you? And if you're listening live, and even if you're not, if you come in later, I'd love to have people chime in. And I think we all say the same things.
Right.
Family, friends, you know, our health. So those things are probably the things that are the most important to us. But then the second question is, do you walk your talk?
Right.
And if those things are like, I am very proud of the fact that I have always put my kids first. And I only say my kids because a lot of that time I was a single mom. And I can look back with pride and say, I always did put our family first. But if I'm really honest with myself, I could be planning a little more to not wait to do some of the exciting things that we have on our bucket list. So what matters most to you, and do you walk your talk? And really, don't say yes because you think yes is the right thing to say, because I think the purpose of this exercise is to find out where you're not walking your talk, and maybe what you could do to change it.
And, you know, and I have to say, I have to say I'm echoing. Do you hear the echo?
No.
Okay, it's really loud echo in mine, but that's all right. Oh, now it just stopped. Okay, it's got to be in the Be Live system. I have to say, this year I realized I wasn't walking my, well, and I don't even know it's walking my talk, because I wasn't even talking about my own health. You know, I was all about, there's so much to do. There's lots to do, and hustle. And I realized, okay, I was getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and I was not going and working out anymore. And I was just, you know, had all kinds of things that it was always an excuse. So I think knowing sometimes it's not walking the talk, because sometimes you're not even talking about, you have to pause enough to say, where am I not taking care of my priorities? Absolutely. Because like you said, we all say those things are important, but what do we need to do about them?
Yeah, and I don't, this isn't something I came up with, but I remember reading this a long time ago, is the expression we all use is, which I don't have time.
Right.
Well, you do.
You always have time. Yeah, make it.
You have 24 hours a day.
Right.
The question is, what do you choose to do with that time? And I know that there are always crunch times, no pun intended, in business and stuff, when we really have to dive down, but and one might feel like I don't have any choice. Like, I've got a deadline and I have to work to get this stuff done for the deadline. So in those cases, I understand, but most of the time we have a choice. We have a choice about how we use our time and how we prioritize our time. And if it's something that you, the proverbial you, really want to do, and we're still saying we don't have time,
right,
then that's a disconnect.
Well, it's interesting because Bob brings up a great, and just Bob, it's such a tragic and sad story, and yet it looks like you're doing something about it. His wife died in a highway crash at 53. Wow. Unexpected. And now he says, I want to pack in a great mix of various priorities every day. And the work aligns with how I want to spend my time, which once again, we tend to have to go through something to kind of shake us and say, what am I doing? Why am I not making the time? And then Bob said, not waiting is a great message. You know, don't wait. You know, I know people who say, I've always wanted to travel. I've always wanted to go and do this. It's like, so go, like, make that a priority to travel and go do those things.
And then, you know, somebody might say, I've always wanted to travel, but I don't have the time. Well, you have the time and I don't have the money. Well, our son, who's 19, went to Europe for a month, is going back to Europe for another month, Europe and Morocco and a few other places on his own, budgeted 50 euros a day while he was away and came in under budget.
Yeah, and there's always ways.
There's always a way. And you know, you just have to make the choice.
Right. And it's interesting, Michelle, this is interesting, the impact just you guys are having, I think, on me of, you know, Michelle also was widowed young and she said she should know better, but fell back into old habits. And I think it's good that she said, I'm so good at taking care of other people. We don't take care of ourselves. And I think that is something that happens to a lot of us. Is we spend so much time building a business, building a career, doing for other people. And then when will we have time to enjoy it and making that a priority and making that, and I think it's, you know, we can even break it down into little things like each week, what do you put on your calendar that is priorities? You know, what priorities are you addressing each week? So sometimes we might think it's up here and it's hard to grab onto, but maybe if we start putting those into our calendars as appointments.
And I think that's great. And it reminds me, I mean, this show is about thinking differently and innovation and ideas. And one of the things that I find people don't schedule enough is simply time to think. And
that's true.
Say, I don't have time to think. Well, some of the greatest minds in the world put thinking time in their agenda. They actually blocked it off. So Bill Gates, for example, is famous.
Does a week.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, of his.
Yeah, 2 weeks a year. And not that he isn't thinking other times, but those 2 weeks are sacred.
Yeah.
This is his thinking time. When I was a single mom, and I don't even remember which show I used to watch with kids when they were young, but there was a big comfy chair.
Big comfy couch.
Yes, maybe that's what. But I have a big chair in my office, a big red chair in my office, and that's my thinking chair.
Right.
And that's where I go to think. And so rituals around, where do you go to think? What are you doing? Is there a place you go? Is there time that you block off in your calendar to think? Because that's where the answers are. And that's the one thing we find the least time for these days, I think. It's just time to think.
And I think I've shared, I was trying to do, and I say trying, I'm still doing it. It's harder for some reason here in Colorado. When I'm in Arizona, I have this morning ritual, wake up, go outside, don't turn on TV, don't do anything, go outside, sit outside. I journal, I have quiet time. I'll be outside maybe 30 minutes. By 7 a.m., I get the dogs and I go for a walk. And that is my thinking, quiet, alone time. And I get so many ideas that I'm always stuck in this position of, I want to hurry and go back home to get notes written up on this. But I get so many ideas in that quiet, just walking time. And I think we need that.
Yeah, there was a study that was done about the 5 places that people get their ideas most often.
Right.
So if you're watching live, I will reveal the answers, but if you're watching live, what do you think are the top 5 places? I mean, not geographical places, but the top 5 times that people get their best ideas.
Or even where do you each get your best ideas? Where are you when those strike?
Right. Or what are you doing? Because I would guess that most of us, well, they are the top 5 worldwide, but none of them are a big surprise. So throw some answers in there, and where do you get your best ideas, and what do you think the top 5 best idea places are? I'll give one away, since Gina, you were just talking about, and that's exercising.
Yeah.
When any kind of exercise, whether you're walking or running or whatever, is one of the places that people tend to get their best ideas.
Right.
Another one is asleep in bed. So whether you're before you go to bed in the middle of the night, if you're one of those people who wake up and write things down on a little pad of paper, laying in bed when I can't sleep. Exactly. That's one of the top 5 places. So anything that has to do with bedtime. The third one is in the shower.
And I have a shower-proof notepad and pencil in my shower. It's suction cups, Amazon, suction cups to your wall, and it's a waterproof paper. And when I have ideas, I will jot those down. Jim says, I'm with Gina. If I don't take time in the morning, I lose the opportunity. Oh, it's so true. And I just think, okay, at lunchtime, I'll do it. At lunchtime, because here in Colorado, it's still a little cold in the morning. The dogs won't walk. And so I think at lunch, and by the time the day gets going, it's gone.
It's gone.
Now, so Jim, or everyone else, like, throw out some ideas before Toni reveals number 4. Is anyone shower? You said shower, exercise,
shower, bed, exercise,
bed. Okay.
Or anybody got any ideas? I can't see the comments, so I don't know whether there's any there. You have to tell me.
As soon as I hear a guess, I'll throw it up on the screen. See, I would think driving because it's quiet time.
Yes.
Which tells us we need to unplug more and have more quiet places. Maybe in the bathroom.
Interestingly enough, and I haven't talked about this in a long time, but in my presentation, in my keynote, I used to say, turn off the noise.
Right.
When you drive, you listen to books, but you listen to books that give you business books that can give you ideas.
Right.
I used to drive a lot, and I don't much anymore because I don't do a lot of speaking, unfortunately, in my own neighborhood anymore. But I used to drive for hours, and I would get up early in the morning, Jim, and I would give myself something to figure out between here in Quebec City, for example, which is 3 hours or something like that. And so of course, there was no iPhones and all that stuff back then. I would stop or jot notes down, but sure enough, 3 hours later, I would have some ideas, but it's just because I set that 3 hours of time aside. I didn't listen to the radio. I didn't listen to the radio because that interferes with my thinking. I don't think I've got something else going on, but yes, so definitely driving.
I thought that's it. Bob said he goes on a walk with dictation turned on. I need to try that.
That's a good idea.
You could talk into your phone. I love that. I'm going to have to try that. Jill says, in my dreams, my most stressful moments in a in her dreams or in stressful moments, in a silly moment, shopping, looking at ridiculous people, in meetings. So Jill is inspired everywhere.
Yeah, Jill's inspired everywhere. And I think if I read between the lines, those are in meetings when she's not really interested in the meeting, because the meeting gets boring and our mind wanders. You were talking about the shower. I need to get that pad. I write them. Jared teases me because I write them in the steam. We have a glass shower.
Oh, that's funny.
On the wall of the shower in the steam. And then when
that's great.
I have to go fast to get something because my memory is terrible. I have to go fast to get something to write them down. But apparently, if Jared goes in the shower an hour later, there's still the lines. I draw charts. I do everything else. So we have sleep, exercise, bed, and shower. And drum roll, please. Da, 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 da. This would be obvious, I think. Is on vacation.
Oh, interesting.
And if you think about those 5 things and what they have in common, it is because we create space in our brains. Yeah. And as long as we are focused on one thing, whether it's doing something or listening to something or whatever, our brain has no space. You've got to give it the space.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, we have to make quiet time and plan. I mean, I did that whole week. I called my monk time.
Yes.
And I was just trying to practice, no TV. I was alone in Arizona and had monk time where I could think. And I bought a yoga mat and thought I would really get into doing yoga. I think I've used it a couple times. But I just lay there. I like whatever they call the corpse pose. That's my favorite, where you just lay there. Yeah, but I think we need to make that.
Though, Gina,
I know. I start with it, and then that's my problem. I never get past the corpse pose. But I do think we all need to have more quiet time to reflect and create and think of ways to, again, when we even think of our priorities. I mean, this week it had me thinking, partly because it was a stressful week, but it had me thinking of, is it time to disrupt myself? And that was my whole topic was, how do you know when you're just having a bad day or a bad week? Or, how do you know when you need to disrupt yourself?
Yes.
And how do you know when it's time to persist? And I think it's one of those things that in business, if we don't disrupt ourselves, we will become disrupted by someone else, by outside forces, by change. Yes. So I think in our businesses, we always have to be thinking that, is it time to evolve a little, to disrupt the way we're doing things? Because if I don't, I become irrelevant. Or is it just me feeling, I just get bored or anxious or stressed or feel like things aren't working the way I want them to work. And so this week, and it was interesting because I came up with this whole thing of, I love pasta, or pasta as the Canadians say. Pasta. And so pasta. So I came up with this whole thing, which was interesting because one of the things that I came in there was P for pause. And when I'm trying to think of, is it time to shift? I need to pause and have that quiet time to reflect, to think, does this make sense? And then I need to, A for pasta, A is for ask other people, ask a mastermind group, ask a coach. So I need to pause and I need to ask other people what their feelings are. Now, sometimes we ask the wrong people and they don't even know our business well enough, but still take some time to ask other people. And then S is where I was doing this week is searching online resources, different things, just to kind of educate myself with what's out there. If you're thinking of a new direction or a new product, a new service, or a new way of doing something in your life, take time to search. And then T is for testing. And that might be where we need to do some tests in our business to see, is this marketable? Is there an audience for it? And the last one is A for alter it, alter our plan. So if it doesn't work, if the test doesn't go well, then we need to alter, which, when we talk about our squiggle in our journey, we've altered our plan and we've altered our business based on the changes that we make. We have to alter. Suddenly people go in with a business plan thinking this is what I need to do, or we have a marketing plan and this is what we have to execute. But once you test something and you tweak it, you have to now have a new plan and alter your plans to do that. So I think it's interesting that the pause is the biggest piece that most of us have a hard time with, is taking enough time to determine, is it just me being, anxious isn't the word I'm looking for, but, I'm just getting, wanting to do something different, and I'm getting my ADD is kicking in, or is it really time to disrupt my own business? And I think, it's one of those things that I think it's a good thing for us to do all the time.
Yes.
And I think we don't make enough of the pause time to create and even think of, is it time to disrupt ourselves? And we know there's lots of people who should have been disrupted a long time ago, and now they're disrupted by outside forces, and they're freaked out about it.
Yeah. And I think there are two situations. First of all, I love all of that. I think there are two situations, and I wasn't sure where you were going with it. And one is, you need to disrupt yourself. We call them in our work, we call them self-inflicted upheavals.
Oh, I love that.
Self-inflict an upheaval on ourselves, because that's what we need to do. And you might need to do that, as you point out, because if you don't, somebody else will.
Right.
But the other thing, and I think I heard that a little bit in the beginning of what you were talking about, is if it's not working for you, it could be working for your customers. It could be your business could be doing great. But if you were waking up every day stressed,
right,
and worried and complaining and not having a good time, well, that's when you need to have some pasta. You need to take a pause.
Yeah, you need to pause and you need to start asking.
Because even if it's working for everybody else, if it's not working for you,
that
takes us full circle to the beginning of today's show, which is that's really the only thing that matters. And I don't mean that in an egotistical sense. I just mean if you're not taking care of yourself, your health, your family, your loves, your time, then it doesn't matter how successful the business is because like my father, perhaps you won't be around to enjoy it.
Exactly. So, and I think it's one of those things we get to a point going, I've worked so hard. Why? Yeah. And it's that thing. It's interesting. Jill said, I'm in disrupt mode. We call my little dog, who you can hear right now going insane because we have painters here, and we call her the agent of chaos. And sometimes we have to be the agent of chaos in our own life and disrupt things because it's maybe we've gotten into a lull and we think things are okay, but we're not super happy with the way things are going. Maybe it's we don't feel that it's going right, but everybody else does. Maybe it's the other way around. It's just, I think, taking time to pause. And I don't think we would even recognize it unless we have that quiet time.
Yeah, for sure. That time is so important. And speaking of time,
I know it's already half past the hour.
Already half past whatever hour it is wherever you are.
So I think it's time for us to have some wine and just pause this weekend. Make some time for margin this weekend.
Yeah, I call it my buffer. So
your buffer.
This weekend, why don't you look at your schedule and make some time? Jim, probably you're going to be out in some white water rafting adventure. But for the rest of us normal folks, look at normal by meaning we're not as adventurous perhaps as Jim.
I am going snowshoeing, moonlight snowshoeing tomorrow. We're doing a moonlight hike up a mountain, an A basin, and then have dinner up there, and then you snowshoe back down.
See, that's no.
So that'll be fun.
I'm not doing that because we're up at the cottage. That's about all that I can say. We're just going to take some time to relax and
wind down. Yeah.
And wind down. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Cheers. Have a great week. And we will see you next week on Friday.
That's right. We'll see you then. Bye. Happy weekend, everyone.
Happy weekend.